I would just like to say I dressed up for everyone tonight.
Michael came directly from the spa.
It is a situation getting ready for the show. As you will see tonight, there's a lot that goes into being a woman. So we've already started the process. So this is giving you a little glimpse before it all happens. Welcome.
So already you get a sense of why this is my dream George and dream Alba. I mean, we spent like 6 months on the conversation. This is one of the most, since I've been here, so beautifully put together and discussed and thought about. But I'll sort of start in the middle. We are, 4 performances in, 3 performances in? For you, let's start individually. The journey of this show, of this character. Norm, what has this been like for you?
Wow, that's a loaded question. It's because I never thought of myself as George, ever. It's just, my career has been in a different direction. And for some reason, when you came to me and said, hey, how about this? It sparked this excitement. Because I was like, oh, yeah, I guess I could play that role. At first, he wanted me as Zaza, but...
I would stand aside. For one scene.
Exactly. But it's been a great journey because it really is, it's all about just love and just truth and honesty and connection. And, no matter what orientation you are, love is love is love. And so for me, knowing the show, seeing the show, enjoying the show, seeing the movie The Birdcage, I had certain ideas of what other people were doing, but I said, well, let me see what Norm can bring to it, and hopefully that's what you'll see tonight. Yeah.
Michael?
Oh gosh, I mean, Lacage is a dream. It's a dream of a show. As a queer man of color, growing up in this business, in this industry, it's there are roles, there are things that you see, there are shows that really represent so much bigger than you could ever imagine, and this is one of those shows. So to be able to kind of have a little sort of stamp on it is truly a dream come true, and truly for me, even therapy in a lot of ways, in terms of who I am as a person, who I am as a performer, but mostly, as an artist and what that can do. And so to be able to, get the blessing and, Mike say, okay, this gonna happen, just so we're clear. And it really feel like, and P.S. it's gonna happen with Norm Lewis. So you ready? Is quite a beautiful, scary, daunting, yet wonderfully yummy challenge on so many levels that I'm beyond grateful for. So it's pretty incredible, and there are so many things, as you will see tonight, that represent not just this culture or who these people are. It represents everybody, and that's what's been the most, I think, for me, so brilliantly beautiful and such a gift that it is for everybody, and that's a beautiful thing. So
one of the things is I'm always very careful, because I say to particularly actors, and I understand it. They don't want to love reviews, they don't read reviews and blah, but they know their raves. But one of the things that everybody has commented on, and I know because the audience members talking about, is the incredible, genuine relationship they feel between the two of you. Like last night as I was rewatching the show, I mean, because as we all know, the Muny's a fast process. And a richness to a relationship, a truth, a sense of real history and love that this story requires, because it's really a question of a marriage. You know, I mean, the first initial problem that the audience hears is Albin like, uh-oh, I'm getting old, he doesn't care anymore, right? There's nothing more human than that, you know, that, and I'm just, you know, I know the process of the Muny, but how have you two been able to create that? Okay, there's stories.
So, all right, so here's the deal. I've known Michael for many, many years. We have a really, it's too long of a story, but we have a really interesting connection to our hometown. And we went to the same church, not at the same time, but he was always told, when you move to New York, because they knew he was a performer, when you move to New York, look for Norman. And I grew up Norman until Cheers came out. And people would go, Norm. So I just kind of I didn't fight it anymore. I became Norm. So I became Norm Lewis. So he, being the younger of the two, and knowing musical theater, knew Norm Lewis. He didn't know Norman was Norm Lewis from the church. So we finally got to work together at Ragtime in North Carolina somewhere. And someone said something, he was like, oh my God, you're Norman. So we've been friends for many, many years. I've watched him blossom throughout the years with all the shows that he's done on Broadway. But we've just kind of kept that connection, and but you know, the fact that we're just stupid. And we just kind of rely on each other. I mean, sometimes when I'm looking for a line that's from the show, I go, okay, so I'm looking in his eyes. Okay, that's what I'm supposed to say. It's almost like it's written inside his eyeball. So it's just that close connection. And also being an artist, that's what you do as an actor. It's just about listening. And so I listen to him sometimes, and and that's basically it. It's just, you know, we open, as actors, you open up your heart and your soul for like a week, and you become best friends. Where, like, I used to work in 9 to 5. I used to work for a newspaper, the Orlando Sentinel. I'm kind of friends with those people. I don't know, maybe, but this is a different thing. So
Norm has made me feel safe. He is a safe space, right? And he makes people feel that way in general when he enters a room and when he's around people. And so, you know, when you have to do a show that you're married to, you know, this beautiful man, you pray for someone who can make you feel safe and make it feel like a safe space for everyone. And so that is one of the things that for me has been so easy, because he just makes it a safe space, and so you can just fall in love, right? Like, because you feel safe and you feel like you can just be your most ridiculous self, and be honest, right, with each other on like where you are in that day, and when you do feel that, you also are able to allow yourself to have those layers of fun, and even in a quick, you know, the crazy legendary Muny, how this situation, what it is pretty special that you can have that, and you can have that connection so fast. So it's to me, it's a safe space, and you can feel that, and I love it. So
a little anecdote about how big this guy's heart is. Yesterday, one of the ensemble members, it was his birthday, and so, you know, suddenly I'm backstage and everyone's like, and I see him running down the hall. He's like, come on, it's his birthday. And we all go running into Emerson, sing happy birthday, and I'm looking at this whole ensemble, and no one's happier or jumping up and down more joyously than Norm Lewis. No, this is totally true. And then last night on stage, because the character plays one of the Cagels, and then the final thing, and he says, and now, on his birthday, and I was like, yes, Norm Lewis, do it at the Muny. It was so great. Let's talk about this score and Jerry Herman and singing this music. So when I called Norm, and it was January.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I got this crazy idea, because we would run into each other occasionally, and he was here in an extraordinary production, historic of Les Mis in 2013.
Yeah.
13, and he was like, when am I coming back? What are we doing? It's just always so beautiful, and he booked around the world. And so I called him and I said, here's this idea, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, it's always the thing, because I want to call I want them to know that I'm thinking of them. This is an idea, and I give them total freedom as an artist and a person. Like, I'm not interested, or I'm booked, or but you just sort of begin this whole thing. What I remember is you were totally silent for the first, as I'm walking through it. I thought, well, this is going nowhere. And there was this pause, and I was like, look, if it's not, if you're booked. He's like, no. He goes, no. I never thought I would be cast in that part. That's really interesting to me. And I said to you, Norm, my dream is you on the Muny stage singing Song on the Sand with the full orchestra, which you're going to experience tonight is revelatory. So and it's this Jerry Herman music, and it's in the notes, but I'll be really brief about it. Herman had these monumental hits in the 60s, Dolly and Mame, and they were huge. And everything that happened subsequent was kind of a flop. And he'd given up. He felt Broadway had changed. He moved away. It was a whole thing. And he got the call about this show. And he came back and said, yes, that is a show. I understand the heart of that show, the life force of that show. And it's in these songs. So to the Jerry Herman of it, what is it like for you to be singing those songs?
It's, because, the show before this was Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
And then you have, Wicked. And then you have, not that it was here yet, but I'm vying for that.
Yeah, I'll say,
but, it's those modern musicals that you're always constantly hearing. And the shows that are on Broadway right now are movies that Pretty Woman and, Devil Wears Prada and things like that. This is that old-time musical, and that's what everybody is saying. They're like this lush instruments with the violins and the horns and all that kind of stuff, and to hear it on stage and to sing with it is just amazing. I get to sing a lot with orchestras around the country, sometimes around the world, and it's so beautiful to have the difference between just singing with either just a piano or like a trio, but to hear all of those instruments playing together and you being one of those instruments, it just feels so good. And especially in this arena with 10, 11,000 people, and just that space that's out there and outside and enjoying it. So yeah, I'm digging it. That's what my voice is. I'm not necessarily the modern day singer of this time, and for me to go back to that sort of style is great.
And for me, it's so well, first of all,
he's much younger. That's what he's trying to say.
Not that much younger, okay. But and you will, just so you know, because you are at the legendary Tony-winning Muny Theater.
That's right.
I'm just saying. But they are doing the original orchestrations. And I say that because that doesn't get to they don't just let any people just do that. They don't let theater companies or orchestras. Not everyone gets to do original orchestrations. There are other orchestrations, but we get to do the original orchestrations. And hearing it is a very different sound than what Broadway is now, and the throwback of what it is truly remarkable. And in fact, it's kind of been fun to witness some of the younger cast members like the Lagels and some of the other ensemble members who have never experienced what that classic sound really sounds like. And in the Sitzbro, where we were with the orchestra, we were all just blown away, but it's a completely different sound. So to be able to get to sing to that is like crazy. And for me, it's actually forced me to go back to the basics and to sort of like the original, that old school classic musical theater sound is. My career has been a lot of contemporary stuff, and the sound wise as well. So it's really kind of interesting for me as an artist, as a singer, to really change, and I've loved it, changing my voice to sort of go into this sound. And what is this sound for me here as Zaza, as Albin, with this orchestra, with this feel, with this man, with this company? What is that? It's different. It's very different. So I've loved that experience, and there's nothing like singing Jerry Herman song. I mean, I get to sing I Am What I Am standing on the Muny stage. will always be a highlight in my career from this point on. Always. I will never ever forget this moment, these performances for myself, and experiencing this song with this orchestrations in this moment.
And a highlight for all of you too. Just wait. Just wait.
How am I doing on time? Someone.
You're good.
Okay, great, because I want to make sure all right. Briefly, as much as possible, people are always interested, I'm interested in, you mentioned the Orlando Sentinel. So give us a sense of, like, how old were you when you first discovered or felt like, oh, I have talent? Where were you, and what was that journey that sort of got you to Broadway and got you here?
I'll make it brief. So I sang and I grew up playing tennis. Tennis was my love. That was it. I wanted to be a mix between Bjorn Borg and Arthur Ashe. I wanted to be a professional tennis player. But then I sang in church, but it was more about, like, you know, making a joyful noise, blah, blah, blah. Because my dad was a deacon, my grandfather was a preacher, so I kind of just lived in church. But no one ever told me I had a voice, so it was just a thing. I got into high school, and you had to have so many electives to graduate, so I went to chorus. I said, okay, I sing in church, let me see if I can do this. It was the first time I ever was experienced to classical music and Broadway and American songbooks, singing it. Up until that point, I'd only done gospel and listened to Motown. Okay, fell in love with that. Bought or actually checked out in the library the album The Wiz. And listened to that over and over again. I'm like, oh my God, I understand this story. I love The Wizard of Oz. I understand it from this gospel R&B sort of feel. Got more involved in theater, majored in business in college, but still took some classes or auditioned for some things. I did that. After college, I worked for the Orlando Sentinel. At night, I would sing in different contests around Orlando. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But this one particular one that I won, there was a producer in the audience, and he's like, I need you on my cruise ship. Can you do this? Would you do this? So I had to think about it, and that's what launched my career. I worked on a cruise ship, the Big Red Boat, before Disney had their own boat, and Disney characters would come on. I was on there for 4 months, and people on the boat were who were in the show were professional people, and they said, oh, you have talent. You should move to New York. Didn't know anything. I didn't know downstage from upstage. So I came to New York, started studying, but still auditioning. I went to everything. Unless they specifically asked for blonde hair and blue eyes, I showed up. And sometimes in my favor, I got the job. So I went, like, what I say, ass backwards. And I just showed up. And my number one thing is I tell students all the time, just show up. Let them tell you no, instead of you telling yourself no. So that's basically it. I just kind of just showed up. Yeah, I tried to put all of that.
I love that.
Michael James Scott, go!
Cut to, I only did this. Like literally, I grew up, my mom said I sang before I spoke, and then I sang my first solo in church. I sang This Little Light of Mine I think I was 4.5 years old. I sang the song, the congregation went wild, which is my audience, and I literally, I always say, I mean, I don't think I said these words, but in my head I was like, I'm hooked. The applause, like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. And so I grew up in Orlando, because we both come from Orlando. So for me, I say this all the time, I had amazing angels, teachers, guidance counselors, you know, all the things, who were just angels, who were like, to my parents, what can we do? They're probably like, can we do something to take this child from who is running around singing and dancing in every place he can? We don't know what to do with him. My parents were like, absolutely, you know what I mean? Like, take him. But I was a child actor, so I was literally in commercials and TV shows. I worked for Nickelodeon, I worked for Disney, all the things when I was a kid. It was always the only thing I wanted to do. I never wanted to do anything else. And I went to performing arts high school, all the things. So for my journey was literally like, this is it. There is nothing else. And I also had parents who just said yes. They didn't know what was going on and how it was going to happen, but they just said yes. And they allowed me to be me. which then basically empowered me to do me. So I always say to parents, you know, it doesn't matter. I mean, I come from a very humble background of you know, in terms of, you know, where you are in status and all those things. Nothing was handed to me, but what was handed was love. And what was very much handed was a community of people who literally saw wonderment in a child's eyes and was like, okay, what can we do? And I'm grateful that those people were that way, because they were the ones who just saw something in me when I didn't see it in myself, even though I kind of knew something was wrong.
And for the where'd you go to college?
And I went to school at Webster University here in St. Louis. So it's a homecoming, and I mean, I was in the ensemble of like Cinderella and South Pacific with, you know, the likes of Ashley Brown and Colin Donnell and all these amazing, I mean, I could go on the list, Nick Adams, Telly Long, all these amazing people who are, you know, working Broadway and TV and film stars, who we were all in the ensemble together while we were in college, in different colleges at the Muny. You couldn't tell us nothing, okay? We were living our lives. So to be able to come back home, you know, St. Louis feels like a second home, because it feels like a part of my foundation. It is part of my big foundation of where I got to grow, was here in St. Louis. So it's a home for me.
All right, so here's how we're going to end today.
Ooh.
We're going to share a little moment.
Okay.
So tie some things together, sort of there. As you know, we lost our beloved Ken Page last fall. And Ken would mention to me occasionally that he had something. And it sort of became urban myth in my mind. And Ken passed, and this object that he'd mentioned to me I didn't hear of. And then about 2 months ago, I got a call from Laura Peters, who was Ken's dear friend, and worked on so many of the things he devised, and in charge of his estate, so to speak. And she said, "You're never going to believe what I found. They're here, they're real." So what I'm going to bring out, and also, you know, these are ultimately going to be donated to the Smithsonian for their collection. But these were gifted to Ken by Stephanie Mills from the original Broadway company of The Wiz. And she was Dorothy. And this is a pair of her silver slippers. And girl, she worked on.
Oh my God.
That. And you can see
Look how small.
Yeah.
how small they are. See.
Wow.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there was a moment of Broadway history when Ken was doing, I think it was his last concert at the Jazz at the Bistro, and you were there.
Yeah.
And you jumped on stage for the duet, and I was like, holy shit, this is history. I'm bootlegging it.
Yeah.
And I think I sent you the tape. But it leads me to the final question of, when we talk about legacy, when we talk about ancestors, this is the first production of the Cage where all the principals have been black. And what has that meant?
Well, wow. I know seeing you do the show, there's this magic that comes out of you, especially doing. That's why I pointed on I am what I am. There's like this thing that is. I think you said the other day, like exercised out of your body, that is just spreading throughout this entire field and to the audience. And I love watching that, to be able to see you get a chance to do this role when maybe you would not have had that chance to do this role. So getting the permission, or like the understanding from Harvey, who wrote the show, Harvey Fierstein, to portray it in a way that it is everybody's the same, everybody's no different than anybody else. Everybody has the same problems. Everybody has the same sort of challenges in life, and to be able to do it through our eyes is wonderful. It's just something that's just so, without even saying it, you will get this different sense and this different feel from seeing us.
Yeah.
And the four of us, five of us, six of us. Six of us,
Yeah.
yes. Six of us that you normally would not have seen.
I think it is, I think we both know it's not lost on us what this means and what it not only means for us, but what it means for others looking in, not just here, literally around the globe, and hearing, getting messages from people about that. But for me, it is, when we talk about change, when we talk about all those things, this is part of the change. This is part of, while we still, have ways to go on so many different things, this is a part of the change where this legendary company is saying, we're just doing it.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. Not apologizing, not changing things. We're gonna do it. This. And you're gonna do it. Go. That to me is the change. And when I dream, the dreams that I have dreamt as a little boy of one day getting to do certain things, I don't even know because I think that this dream is bigger than some of our ancestors. And what is happening. I don't even know that I dreamt as big.
Right.
So to me, it's the change. And it is beyond a gift, and I will forever be grateful that a company that is legendary as the Muny, led by an amazing leadership with an insanely gorgeous tribe, a village of artists who care so much. Backstage, literally leading with their hearts.
Yeah.
That to me is the change. And so I'm forever grateful for that.
Well, I think we're going to end there. Put on the gloves.
Can we touch them?
Yeah.